Introducing YouTube memberships, a fun way to support the channel while getting some exclusive perks. Click the join button to become a member now and get benefits like badges next to your name on videos, behind-the-scenes photos, advantages during the live trivia game, discounts on merchandise, private one-on-one video chats, the ability to request future video topics, and exclusive 8 to 10 minute videos on the history of the NFL. And now, on with our feature presentation. Man, this video is so much easier to make now that we actually won the game. November 26, 2023. It's week 12 of the NFL season, and we've got one of the biggest games of the season on our hands down at NRG Stadium in Houston, between the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Houston Texans. To say that this game is massive would be putting it lightly. It's the biggest game in the over 20-plus year history of the Jaguars Texans divisional rivalry. There's never really been a time where both teams were good simultaneously, as this is just the second time ever, and the first time since 2007, that the Jaguars and Texans are playing each other while both teams have a winning record. But the winner of this game takes first place in the division. If the Texans win, they have the head-to-head tiebreaker with the sweep. If the Jaguars win, they have a 2-game lead with 6 to play. And it's really 2.5 games, seeing as the Texans have an extra divisional loss. Either way, the winner of this game is in pole position heading into December to win the AFC South title. And the good news for the Jaguars is that unlike the Week 3 thrashing that they took, they actually look really good here to start things off. Trevor Lawrence is playing lights out. The Jags are moving the ball down the field on just about every possession. And the Jaguars have a 13-7 lead, with the Texans about to line up for a 50-yard field goal from Matt Amendola. And when Amendola misses the kick, instead of the Jags only being up by 3 and likely just taking a knee going into the half, they have great field position and have a chance to change the entire complexion of the game. They can go up by 2 scores. They get a field goal and get 30 or so yards, and things look a lot different. Unfortunately for the Jags, those field goal aspirations don't happen, because they think touchdown. After Trevor Lawrence hits Christian Kirk on a 57-yard play, the Jaguars have it at the 1-yard line with 1 second left. And at this point, Doug Peterson has 2 options. Kick the field goal and go up by 9, or go for the jugular and get the touchdown. We all know Doug Peterson and how aggressive he is. He's going for the touchdown, no doubt about it. So I wonder what Doug has lined up here. You figure from less than a yard out, you just have Trevor Lawrence extend his arm over the goal line and you go from there. I'm sure this won't be anything stupid that could backfire in spectacular fashion. I'm sure I won't be screaming at my TV and popping a blood vessel at whatever Doug decides to do here. So with that being said, come on Doug, go for the kill shot, go for the touchdown. Let's see what you got.
Lawrence races under center, pitches it to ETN, cuts it up, and he's stuffed!
What the hell is that?
Welcome to Dumb Decisions. Before I break down what happened here, this whole series is about taking an in-depth look at decisions made during games that were clearly awful from the start. This isn't something to look bad in hindsight. Rather, this is something to look awful almost immediately. These are moves where your gut instinct tells you right away that there is no way this can possibly work. And sure enough, your gut instinct was smarter than that of an NFL head coach. And for this one, we're going to take a look at the mind of Jacksonville Jaguars head coach Doug Peterson. Look, I love the guy. I can't complain too much. The Jaguars are a half game back of the #1 seed in the AFC, and considering the fact that for most of my life, the Jags winning 8 games in 2 seasons was the norm, let alone winning 8 games by the end of November, I don't want to misconstrue anything here. But my God, when Doug Peterson screws up, he royally screws up, even if it doesn't end up mattering in the long run. The squib kick at the end of the game against the Ravens last year that allowed the Ravens to get into field goal range for no reason. The atrocious decision to hand the ball off to Travis Etienne at the end of the Charger game last year after the 4th and 1 play when you just take a knee. The decision to have Trevor Lawrence run a naked bootleg in a game that was already won, which led to him getting injured, which you can learn more about by clicking the card in the upper right corner. And now, this. I love the guy, but about once a month, he'll do something that will make you pull your hair out. And this was that one obligatory move for November. So with that being said, let's take a look at why calling a pitch play from the half-yard line on the final play of the first half is a really bad idea. And look, I want to make something abundantly clear. This is not about the decision to not take the points. We can debate all day about whether you take the points and just make it a 2-score game, or whether you go for it. On one hand, you're at the half-yard line. You can go for the jugular right then and there, get all the momentum going into the halftime break, and you get the ball to start the second half. So if you double up, you can put this game completely out of reach. On the other hand, the goal on the drive was to get 3 points. And even though you're at the half-yard line, now is not the time to get greedy. You did what you sought out to do. So you take the 3 points and go up by 2 possessions. Don't change the objective. Again, that is a legitimate debate to have. That just because you might disagree with that part doesn't inherently make it a dumb decision. Heck, me personally, I had no problem going for it. I wanted the Jags to go for it here. Go for the kill shot. The Texans think that they're going into the half down 13-10. And now they could find themselves down 20-7? Yeah, that's a huge swing that I'm not sure they come back from. I wholeheartedly agree with the decision to go for it here, even though I wouldn't have had a problem if they kicked the field goal. So the problem isn't that they went for it. The problem is that they did, well, whatever the heck this was. I wonder if they could have called a different play from half a yard out that has a higher chance at working, like a quarterback sneak. Seems pretty low risk to me, right? No chance of going backwards, and all you have to do is get the ball across the line and you're in. But the Jags can't possibly do that. I mean, let's be real. The last time the Jags ran a successful quarterback sneak was, I don't know, 20 freaking minutes before this! Seriously, with 9:43 left in the first half, the Jaguars had first and goal at the 1-yard line. So what do? They had their 6'6" quarterback just take the ball and reach over the goal line. Boom! Touchdown! Nothing the Texans could do about that. Super easy. Why on earth couldn't you just do that again? You have a quarterback that can run the quarterback sneak. It's an automatic play. You're at the same exact yard line. All he has to do is do what he did many times before and did earlier in the game, and that is take the ball and extend his arm over the goal line. It's not that hard. But nope, let's not only not do that, but call a running play. And not just any running play, but let's call a running play to Travis Etienne. Look, I've got nothing against Etienne at all. He is an amazing running back. But he's not a guy that necessarily absorbs contact well. That's why you drafted Tank Bigsby in the 3rd round of the draft this year, even though he's a walking fumble machine. You drafted a guy in the goal line spots who can absorb contact and not go down right away if he gets hit high. And that is especially true considering the fact that Etienne was literally hurt. He was playing this game with a chest injury and had to leave the game during the second quarter to get treated for chest problems. This means that not only do you have a running back who might not be the best at absorbing contact, as it is, if this play gets blown up at or behind the line of scrimmage, but now, whatever he was before, it's even worse because he's hurt. It's like me on the basketball court, and now I jam my finger. I was never a good shooter before this, but now, whatever I usually shoot, I'm going to be significantly worse, because my finger hurts like crazy. And it's not as though the Jags had success running the ball, especially to that side of the field. It's not like this was the first time that this play got blown up. Prior to this play, Travis Etienne had 3 runs to the right side of the field. Combined, they went for, get ready for this, -1 yard! Small sample size, sure, but they were averaging negative yardage when they ran Etienne to that side of the field prior to this play. Heck, one of these runs was this run right here, which got blown up so bad that it went for a loss of 6 and set the Jags behind schedule right outside the red zone. Not that it should have mattered, because the Jags should have scored a touchdown 2 plays later, if not for a really bad drop by Calvin Ridley in the end zone. So not only do you design a play that requires you to toss the ball 6 yards behind the line of scrimmage when you need an inch, but you design a play that requires you to have your running back, who is not good in goal line situations, seeing as you literally drafted a guy for that reason, and is going to be even worse at absorbing contact because he is playing with an injured chest, somehow score on a side of the field where he has negative rushing yards so far? Gee, which option sounds better? The one where your 6'6" quarterback just takes the ball and extends his arm over the goal line like he's done many times, including earlier in this game, and which I've never seen him fail at in 3 years here, or that one? It's like being 20 yards off the green and asking which is the better shot, using your pitching wedge or using your driver and going Happy Gilmore style, hoping you hit the ball at 5% power. Like, there's one option that is clearly way better than the other, and I hope that's abundantly clear. After the game, Peterson was asked about the decision, but I feel as though Peterson didn't address the crux of the issue, which is, why that specific call? He said on the decision that it was easy, saying, I was going for it the whole way. You make a play like that, and you kind of got them back on the ropes. And if you can get the 7 points there, and get the ball to start the second half, those should be favorable opportunities. Credit Houston. The guy made a great play defensively. He stopped Travis in the hole and just had a great opportunity. A great play by them. But I would do that again. And again, Doug, I agree with you. I have no problem going for it. Whether I call it a win-win situation like you said in your sideline interview at the end of the first half, I'm not so sure about that. But that is not my issue. My issue is, why that call? It's like if you're a high school music director at an all-boys school, and you decide that you're going to put on Mean Girls as your spring musical, and you say, I was always going to put on a musical. I think having a musical is a good thing, and it's a great creative outlet for a lot of these students. It's great for the community, and we should be supportive of the arts. And I do it again. Like, yes, I agree with you, but why that musical? Why Mean Girls at an all-boys school? That's what I don't get. The idea wasn't the problem, but the decision stemming off of the idea? That is an entirely different issue. And this wasn't the only thing that Doug Peterson did in the game between these two teams behind me right here that I strongly disagreed with. I did not agree with his decision whatsoever to ice Matt Amendola and call a timeout right before he was trying that game-tying 58-yard field goal. Why give him the chance to get set? They were rushing onto the field as it was. Plus, on top of that, if he makes the kick, and he almost did, you only have one timeout to work with instead of two. And you might need that timeout because you're trying to mount a drive yourself and get the game-winning field goal at the very end of the game. Now, was this a bad coach game by the Jaguars? Not at all. I love Mike Caldwell's defensive game plan, eliminating the deep ball from C.J. Stroud. And offensively, we got rid of those awful plays behind the line of scrimmage and actually allowed Trevor Lawrence to go through his reads and go deep down the field. I love what we did coaching-wise for the most part. But the decisions that backfired, oh, they were very, very egregious. And this first half decision was by far the worst of the bunch. Because I have no clue what Doug Peterson was thinking here. Not with the decision to go for it, but to call up that play instead. So what do we learn from all of this? If you have a 6'6" quarterback who can just extend his arm over the goal line and get the play to work, then do that. Especially if that play worked already and has never failed. If you're not going to do that, you're setting yourself up for failure. However, if you do insist on trying something else, don't pick a play with a running back whose strong suit is not that. Don't pick a play with a running back that requires him to likely absorb contact when he is already hurt. And don't pick a play to a side of the field that has given you, quite literally, no success thus far on the day. If you have two options, and one option gives you a near 100% chance at working, and the other option gives you maybe a 10% chance at working, then pick the first option. And if every single Jags fan knew, the moment that Trevor Lawrence turned his head backward to pitch that ball, that this play was going to be stopped, then maybe you should have realized that too as the head coach. Because when all of these elements are in play, you can't exactly be surprised when this play backfires. Talk about a dumb decision. Get your official Jaguar Gear 9 merchandise by going to jj9shop.com, and be sure to like and subscribe, as it really helps the channel out a lot. Join me every Wednesday night where we'll play NFL trivia for cash prizes at 9 p.m. Eastern over on Twitch. To learn more about the history of college football, subscribe to Jaguar Gator 8. To learn more about the history of Major League Baseball, subscribe to Jaguar Gator 7. Also, special thanks to all of our Patreon supporters for helping out the channel. Your support is greatly appreciated. See how you can become a patron and request future video topics in the description below.